guys, welcome to this week's episode of our podcast, Just Us Being Us. I'm your host, Adela Relentless, and I'm here with my co-host.
Hi, I'm Kix, the distracted one.
And I'm Bugby, the tired one.
And I'm still normal.
Debatable.
Yeah.
I mean, this week, I might actually be the oddball out considering our topic. So if you guys actually looked at the name, we are talking about Astarion Daggers hot dogs, which, if you are clever enough, ADHD.
Wow.
See what we did there?
We're real smart cookies.
Yeah, we just kind of had fun with that one.
Yeah.
But so overall, this episode is really going to be mostly led by Kix and Bugby, since obviously I don't have ADHD. Although by the end of this episode, there's a huge chance I will be self-diagnosed with it, because I will be sitting here listening to these two, going, "Oh, I do that. Wait a minute." So
I do that.
I'm gonna have a very interesting conversation with my therapist next week.
She's gonna be like, no, stop talking to your friends.
That podcast isn't such a good idea.
I've been known to be a terrible influence.
I know. I listen to
Since
K-pop now because
when?
of her.
I know this is surprising news.
I never knew.
I've only made your lives worse.
In all fairness, we are K-pop fans now.
That's
So
I did. I listened to K-pop all day on Friday to get my work done. I've
I'm
never done that
so
before.
proud of you.
Yeah, it's great.
That makes my heart feel so happy.
I mean,
It
the
was-
moment that we're staying up until 4 a.m. trying to learn a
Learn.
K-pop dance when we have to get up early the next morning, yeah, there's something going on there.
It's very influential.
This
Whatever.
ain't just a hat rack. I
Oh.
know things.
There's actually a brain in
Yes.
there with wrinkles and everything. It's not
Knows
smooth
the
brain.
fun life.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, I feel like this episode is gonna be super fun because Rebecca and I's ADHD is just gonna go.
We're just going to be passing the brain cell back and forth.
You're gonna see real insight of what she has to go through. Adela has to go through with the two of us.
And I'm going to be doing my best to keep them on track so this doesn't become a 4-hour episode. So
No
with that
promises.
We wish
being
you
the
luck.
case, origin story, let's talk about you and really, so because you obviously have been dealing with your ADHD longer than Bugby has.
Yeah,
So
I've been aware of it longer.
yeah, that's really the better way of phrasing it. But yeah, so tell us, how did all of this come about?
So I've struggled my entire life with staying on track, staying focused, and trying to get really the nitty-gritty done, especially when it comes to schoolwork and staying organized and all of that fun stuff. And it it came to a head back right before COVID hit, and I was working at a hospital and I was going to school and I was feeling such extreme burnout that there came to a point I couldn't do anything but lie on the couch and cry. Like, I could not bring myself to do anything else. And so I went to see a therapist on base, and they diagnosed me with depression and anxiety because I was very unhappy with how my life was at that point. And I I would just felt paralyzed. And the treatment that they put me on, the medication that they put me on, didn't work. And eventually I quit that job, moved to another job. Things got better for a little bit, but that was mostly I wasn't feeling so burnt out anymore. But I still noticed that a lot of the symptoms of I feel like I can't live normally. Like, I get overwhelmed so easily until I just shut down. And I feel like that isn't normal. And when I would see my husband come and he would take care of all the things that I couldn't take care of, that is when it hit me like, I need to do something because I don't think that what I'm feeling is normal. I don't think it is just depression and anxiety. And so finally, I had called my therapist again and I said, I think it's something different. And you might laugh at me, but I think it could be ADHD because I have been on social media. I've been seeing all these other women that are talking about getting diagnosed ADHD later on in life. And a lot of the symptoms that they were talking about, I could resonate with. And I said, "I really think that is what is going on with me." And she said, "Absolutely. Your story seems to line up with it. There are a lot of women getting diagnosed now that we know how to diagnose women because it isn't the typical what you see, like, hyperactive little boys. It is internal panic, almost like constant panic to the point where your body just goes into a shutdown mode." And so she recommended me to a psychiatrist. I did not have the best time with him, uh, but I did get an ADHD diagnosis out of it. And when I got diagnosed, it just kind of felt like all the puzzle pieces fell into place. I was like, this feels right. This feels exactly like how I've been struggling my whole life. Even back to kindergarten. I was a kindergartner put in an organizational skills class because my desk was, it just looked like a paper bomb went off in it. And I couldn't stay organized to save my life. And it got so bad where in 4th grade, I refused to do any of my schoolwork. I would take zeros on my schoolwork. I would just stand up to my teacher and say, "I'm gonna take a 0 on that. I don't feel like turning it in." Because I didn't wanna do the busy work because that's all it was. It was
Right.
copying definitions, it was
Mhm.
doing all these little math problems, and my mind was breaking it down into a million little steps, and it got so overwhelming that I just didn't wanna do it.
Yeah.
Then I told them I didn't wanna do it. They almost held me back in the 4th grade, but on my tests, I always scored very well because test taking was very easy for me.
Yeah.
So they said, "We know she's smart, but she doesn't wanna do her schoolwork."
Yeah.
And actually, that summer, I my punishment was when I woke up, I would have to sit on the stairs until breakfast. After breakfast, I would have to copy A through Z in the dictionary, and then they would give me times tables to my parents would. And then after dinner, I would sit on the stairs again until bedtime, and I had to do that the whole summer. That
Oh
was my
my
punishment.
goodness.
And then that next year, I was like,
Oh,
"Well, I guess I gotta get my schoolwork done."
right? Oh, lordy.
But having an answer for why I struggled so hard felt so good.
I agree.
It
I
felt
agree.
so good. I mean, like, I knew there was a reason. I know I'm not broken. My biggest fear is that I was lazy. And my
Yes.
therapist told me, if you are scared about being lazy, you're
You're
not
not
lazy.
lazy. That makes
That's
so
true.
much
That is
sense.
very true.
And a little bit of backstory to me. Um, my mother was a drug addict. And she was not in my life for very long, but she had a lot of mental illness. And so it took a lot for me to be willing to talk to a therapist in the first place because I felt like recognizing anything that was going on would
Yeah.
be willing to admit that I had a connection to her
Right.
and I wanted anything but.
Yeah.
So but it just felt very nice to finally have an answer.
Yeah. I very recently diagnosed with ADHD and PTSD, as you guys are aware, and I got the diagnosis and my husband was home with our daughter, so it was just me there. And I drove home and I like came running into the bedroom. And I was like, "Guess what?" And my husband's like, "What?" And I'm like, "I'm officially diagnosed with ADHD and PTSD." And he's like, "Congratulations."
Like, I don't know whether I should be concerned
Like,
or be happy for you right now.
he's like, "Why are you so excited?" I'm like, it's just answers.
Answers.
I just know now what's happening.
Like I know I'm not, like
I'm not crazy. I'm not lazy. It's
yeah.
not my fault I can't get out of bed and do things.
Right.
It's my brain.
There is a disconnect
Yeah.
somewhere, and it feels so refreshing.
Yeah. I have been honestly, my depression has been greatly reduced since I found out I have ADHD. It just because I have an answer and I understand it, I'm not left wondering and pondering what the heck's going on.
Right, and I feel very fortunate to have such a great support system in my husband that I'm able to, like, tell him, "This is what is going on inside my head," because what it seems like to the outside world is, like, I'm just sitting on my phone, scrolling TikTok, but really there's just a torrential onslaught in my head of, "You need to be doing this, you need to be doing this, what about if this happens? What about if this happens?" And if someone breaks me out of that cycle where I'm just sitting there in my head, I'm immediately irritated. And I can't like, I'll s like, if it's my husband coming up to me saying, "Hey," I'll be like, "What? What do you want?" And he's I love him so much. He knows to be like, "Hey, it's no big deal. This is just something I need to tell you." He knows how to, like, bring me out of it. He knows how to take a load off my plate if I'm feeling absolutely overwhelmed. He's like, "I'm not gonna make a big deal out of it. Obviously, you need some help. I'll be in the kitchen doing dishes." Or what really what he's learned to do with me is I need someone in the room doing something with me. Like, if I need to do schoolwork, he will say, "All right, I will save my schoolwork to when you're doing schoolwork so we can both be up there doing schoolwork together, or we will both do household chores together. We will take a time slot and we'll both work." And I feed off of his energy.
Yes, I am the same way.
Yeah.
Exact same way. If I have things that I need to do, but my husband has things that he wants to do, but they're outside. So I need to do the dishes, clean the kitchen, your normal household chores. And we recently had a couple of trees cut down. So my husband has been working a lot outside cleaning up the wood because we wanted to keep it for firewood.
Mhm.
And it is really, really hard for me to get up and do anything when he's outside.
Yeah.
Like, he's doing something, but I can't. I just can't.
There's no motivation, and I will sometimes try to make it seem better to myself, like, "Oh, this is my quiet time now, that
Yeah.
I this is the time I need to relax," and I
Mhm.
will justify it that way.
I justify it every day when I get home from work. I just need 30 minutes
Yeah,
of peace and quiet.
yeah.
2 hours later, my husband walks in the door. "What you doing? Laying here in the dark?"
Yeah.
"Yeah."
Yeah, like I said, I will come home from work with really good intentions. Most of the time, I will take a nap.
Well, I'm glad to say, after this first conversation, I definitely don't think I have ADHD because that is like the total opposite of me. With my anxiety, I'm like, I need to get this done right now. And if my husband's there, I can't get anything done because he's totally distracting. Like, he will be doing laundry, and I'm like, "Oh, I gotta do laundry too." And then it's like, versus if he's off doing something else, like if he's mowing the yard or whatever else, taking care of the vehicles, I'm like, I'm gonna get everything done. And I just knock him out left and right. But the downside about that is I will just go, 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 and not realize I hadn't taken a break for the last, like, 5 hours, so then all of a sudden I sit down and I'm just like, "Oh, I'm exhausted." And then he's like, "You wanna go do something?" "No." So I'm the total opposite of you guys, so good to know. So far, checkbox number 1, doesn't have ADHD.
It's just I don't really know how to it's hard to explain it to someone who doesn't have it because it almost feels imaginary. There is definitely a stigma surrounding it. I can't tell you how many times I've heard commentary from, I mean, especially the older generation, where they don't really understand it, especially in women, and they think that it is just laziness or it is a weak willpower, and they think that ADHD is just an excuse to not get anything done. And so it is very hard to explain it, and sometimes I get quite defensive about it too, because it isn't laziness, it isn't just this, "I don't wanna do it, and I'm just gonna go lay down and cry a river about it," like, it's not that. It is a genuine, uh, anxiety over just they're just everything being too much.
So, what is the coping skill with that, though? Like, because yeah, you're right, since I don't have it, obviously, I deal with my anxiety and depression in very different ways and my OCD, so I don't re so what is the coping mechanism for how you get by day to day without? Because you said specifically you're no longer on medication,
No,
so
the medication that they initially put me on, the crash was so bad that I couldn't function when it wasn't in my system, so I had to get off of it, and the peril of ADHD where if something seems like it is going to take too much time or be overwhelming, I'm just not gonna do it. So I haven't gone back to get better medication put in place, and I sometimes I feel like I'm just running on panic alone, panic of failure. Especially a lot of times with school and with work, I will wait until there is no, turning back point. It is do or die time, I need to get it done, and that is the panic that I live on to get stuff done, which I don't recommend, by the way, but
see,
that
that's relatable with my anxiety because for me, I always have such a fear of failure that but I'm the opposite. I get it done because I don't want to fail, and and in my head, I'm telling myself, "Oh my gosh, if I don't do this, it's gonna fall through the cracks, and then all of this other stuff's gonna happen because I didn't do that one thing." And it causes such a panic in me that I go the opposite direction where I basically work myself to the bone until it's taken care of. Versus you're like, "No, that
Yeah, we
sounds like
complete
a horrible idea."
yeah, it you completely shut down because my brain, I go through all of those motions as well. I have to do this, I have to do this, I gotta get this done in order to do this. I mean,
I'm just gonna sit down.
I'm just gonna give myself 30 minutes of peace
Yeah, and
and fully intending to get up in 30 minutes.
yeah,
Fully intending, setting alarm,
mhm.
everything to then get up in 30 minutes.
And it never works.
No.
It does not work.
Mm-mm.
And one thing and again, I am not a medical professional,
Yeah.
so if I get any of this wrong, I do apologize. But I've heard it described to me one way is it does, um, it is this representation of how your body handles, like, low dopamine
Mhm.
and you desperately search for the things that do make you happy,
Yeah.
which some people's case is scrolling TikTok, just the easy stuff that is
Yeah.
going to bring you happiness. And your brain fights against breaking that hyperfixation and doing something else that isn't going to bring you
The
the
joy,
yes, the joy that you need.
yeah. Yeah. That makes so much sense.
So speaking of that, what are your guys' joys for all of this?
So, I have been known my entire life to hyperfixate on things very intensely. My first hyperfixation was the Peter Pan movie starring Jeremy Sumpter back in, like, the early
Oh,
2000s.
man.
Yeah.
I memorized the script to that movie so I could sit there in the car and play the movie in my head.
Oh.
I was entranced. Then Smallville was my next biggest thing. I loved Smallville and I love Superman because of it. And it's funny, I became known for my hyperfixation. So every single year, all of my presents would be focused to that hyperfixation. And you could tell who my close friends and family were because they would be up to date on my current hyperfixation. Those who weren't, they'd give me last year's hyperfixation.
They don't
Oh,
know.
good.
They
I
don't know
count for
me.
good for close friend and family because I know what her current hyperfixation is.
Tell me.
Astarion.
Yes.
He is all of our current
Yeah, that's
hyperfixation.
true.
You're
Even
welcome for that one,
yeah,
ladies.
even without ADHD, he is definitely my current hyperfixation, and I don't even have ADHD.
Honestly, for me though, I wouldn't say he's my current hyperfixation because only because I haven't played a full playthrough, so I haven't seen his full story. I've
Oh,
It
only
yeah,
is a
seen
that's
bits and
beautiful
true.
pieces.
story.
It is a very beautiful story.
My hyperfixation right now is books is a big one for
Yes.
me, which again, Kix got me into those as well.
Told you I'm a bad influence.
She really is.
I mean, honestly, there
But
are worse things you could be influencing us on.
That's true.
the problem with my hyperfixations is I take them even further. It's not even, or maybe this is part of the hyperfixation. I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm still learning.
Yeah, okay, I'm very
But
interested.
like I go even further from just, oh, I have to read this book. My head's playing like I stop reading and I'm putting myself in the story
Yes.
and I am fantasize like, the whole fantasy of I am
Yes.
in this okay, so it's an ADHD thing.
Oh my
Got it.
god. Yes. I I will
I could watch a
go through these
movie.
plot line like, I am in the
Mhm.
story now,
Yeah.
and what is so funny is whenever I'm trying to go to sleep at night, and I'll sit there and be like, "Okay, turning my daydream on. Why am I skipping chapters? Let's go back to
Go
the
back.
beginning."
Yes. We have to start from the
We have
beginning.
to start from the beginning. I'm like, "No, why am I rushing to the good part? We gotta build up to it."
Okay, checkbox number 3. Currently still does not have ADHD.
I have never really talked to anybody about that, so I'm really glad to hear that that's
I get
I had
s
been wondering if that had something to do with
It
it, but
might be,
yeah.
like, just, like, escapism, and
Yeah.
because that again, it is a hyperfixation, and I get irritated if someone breaks me out of my daydream. I get so excited whenever I have quiet time at work just
Mhm.
to put on a music playlist that I have curated to my current daydream cycle. I will put that playlist
Yes.
on and start the story from the beginning, and if someone breaks me out of that, of course,
I do.
I have a smile on my face, but the thoughts in my head.
Are a lot of daggers.
Yes.
Yeah, I it can be anything. We'll watch a TV show,
Yeah.
and, like, one of the ones we rewatched recently was Rebels, was Star Wars Rebels,
Yeah.
and, again, watching it through, and then I'm putting myself in the story,
Yeah. I'm the
and
main character now.
it's not even that I'm portraying, like, one of the characters in the show,
It's an
I'm just
original character.
I'm adding myself to it.
Yeah, and it is honestly, I think we have such a great imagination for that
For
because
real.
I've built some great stories in my head that I'm like,
I think
"This
so
should be
too.
a TV show."
I think so too.
Although I will say that does make a lot of sense in terms of why we enjoy Baldur's Gate so much
Uh-huh.
because you physically build you
Yes.
Yeah,
into
that's
that
true.
story.
Yes.
And so it's very, and especially if you guys ever catch our streams and stuff, you will definitely be able to tell which character is Adela because I
Yes.
literally design my character to look like me except with horns.
Yeah.
So, and
All my
I kid
characters
you
are
not,
wildly different.
every single playthrough that I have done of Baldur's Gate, my character has looked exactly the same, plays the same class, plays the same, like, outfit, look, everything, which I guarantee is my OCD because I get hyper fixated on that
And
where I'm
yeah.
like, "No, I'm just gonna stick with it. Why change it? I like it."
Yeah.
So I play a rogue tiefling, and she literally has black hair, green highlights, and black horns. Like
Yeah.
it's literally me. And it's funny because you look at my playthroughs with that and you're looking at me in the story. So I can relate to at least that much, but I definitely if I'm out of the video game, I'm not daydreaming about it, I guess. I don't.
Oh, I have a whole storyline.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
There's a
I
whole plot. There's a
yes.
beginning, there's a middle, there's an end.
Yeah, no,
So
not
happy
me.
for this right now.
I'm just I literally leave it at the game. It's yeah,
I
I
get so excited to go to bed at night so I can be like,
Oh, me
"Okay,
too.
all right, what can we change? No, I like this plot better. All right, let's twist it around. Okay, let's start from the beginning."
Yeah.
And scene.
although
Yup.
so
Amazing.
talking about storylines and Baldur's Gate. My only reason for my fixation on Astarion is to me his character development
Mhm.
is so relatable.
Yeah.
It's so relatable coming from a place of just trauma and darkness and just having been in this deep hopeless state for so long and then finding that point of redemption and hope and light and just but still also being somewhat of a very defensive kind of not really trusting people sort of character. It's one of those things where he is the most relatable to me in that because obviously there are things we've all gone through in life that are difficult for us to talk about until we find that one person that gets you to open up and talk about things. And actually, most importantly, makes you comfortable enough to trust them. And it's so funny because spoiler alert here, if you haven't played the game or played his storyline, well then
Turn your
fast
ears off.
forward.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fast forward. But the part that I love about him the most is that in the beginning, he's just kind of using you in a sense. He's kind of just like, yeah, I'll help, but it's about me and I don't really trust you. And then as your character kind of develops with him, he obviously cares for you in a sense that you never expected. Like he himself never expected to. And it's such a relatable part of life where you meet that person that suddenly you open up to there's these moments that you have with them that you never expected to happen. And when that magic happens, you're just like, "Oh man." And
Yes.
you wind up accepting and dealing with a lot of your skeletons in your closet per se. And
Yeah.
the fact that you see a very visual representation of that kind of experience in life take place with him, obviously on a much deeper, darker level. But even then, you still can relate to that. And the pain that you see him go through when he finally faces the main issue, you're like, you cry for him because
Oh,
you you
I bawled.
know
I cried so
yeah,
hard.
you know the pain that he's feeling, and honestly, Neil Newbon just does such an amazing job having portrayed that scene, and
Fantastic.
like you feel his pain watching that, and so it to me that's why he's just my favorite character because his character development, obviously, and it depends very much on the route that you go in the game, but
Yes.
his main character development that you play through it as like the main campaign
Mhm.
it is just so beautiful. It is such a beautiful transformation, and in a weird way, you see yourself in that, and you look back and go, "Huh,
Yeah.
I've been there."
I
And
I think my connection to him, or to Astarion, has been I love that he sees, like, my character as worthy enough to help bring that development to him. Like, he trusts someone enough, and I like I like to feel special, and that makes me feel special
Yeah.
to have someone trust me so much that, they're willing to be like, "Okay, I need this change, I need this growth."
yeah,
And I love that.
yeah,
You can fix, or you can start to fix them. Obviously, it is a
Right.
long road to healing.
Yeah, I'm really excited. We're gonna be doing a playthrough with Baldur's Gate, I think sometime soonish.
yeah, we'll be streaming it, so you
But
guys are more than
I'm
welcome to catch that stream.
yeah, I'm really excited to see Astarion's full story because, like I said, I've only seen bits and pieces. I've seen the ending scene that they were talking about, and even not seeing the full story and the full development,
It
oh,
is
my
powerful.
Yeah,
my
it's
heart.
powerful.
And going back to my lovely husband, he bought me a cameo from Neil
Oh,
Newbin,
yeah.
and anytime I'm having a bad day, I go back and watch it, and he, it is so, I don't know.
It's so
It
It's
sweet.
is so
sweet. It's
sweet.
It's so
so
sweet.
sweet.
Yeah.
I think your husband definitely gave him like a good idea on the prompt, and I think
Yeah.
Neil
I just
Newbon
wanted to give
did.
him a hug.
Yeah, and that was such a sweet thing where he physically pointed out where it was like a hug is really great every once in a while. And
Yeah.
honestly, that scene when you give Astarion his very first
Oh my
hug,
god.
my God, that broke me. I totally did
I
not
haven't seen
expect
that
for
one
that to
yet.
break me.
Oh.
Oh.
I cannot wait for you.
Yeah, yeah, you'll have to watch it through my character, but that's fine. But,
She says I can't have a star in.
yeah, nope, sorry, I refuse to share. So
I
anytime you
would
play with me,
share.
Astarion's
You're
mine.
gonna share?
I'll share.
Okay. So we'll all three do a playthrough, and then you and I can do a playthrough where I get him.
Yes,
Yes.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Yes.
and I
Because
will.
I'm not versed enough to go off on my own
I'll
yet.
be
I
I'll
will.
be physical support. I will
Oh,
Okay.
I'll be your bodyguard.
girl, I just save
Deal.
scum.
Yeah.
I just save scum the crap out of it. The
Yeah.
second
I'm
I
a
see the Astarion disapproves, I'm like, reload.
try
I don't
again.
care how far back I have to go. I don't care what my last save was. Reload.
Yep.
But it's so yeah, it's honestly your cameo though is really adorable and see that's another thing that I absolutely love about that character development because again, it's very character development
Mhm.
as a person. That very first hug, you're just like, "Oh my gosh." Like it's such a simple gesture. It's such a
Yeah.
simple thing to have to do for somebody, but it literally flips their world upside down. And it's kind of crazy because mostly with me in my anxiety and my depression, my husband knows, oh my gosh, she's not doing okay. He just hugs me. Like that, and honestly, a lot of the times, that's really all I need.
Yeah.
I don't need you to give me advice. I don't need you to fix the world's problems. I don't need you to fix world hunger or find the cure for cancer. I need you to just hug me.
Mhm.
And that's another reason for me, it's such a big thing about that character is like when you go through that scene with him for the first time, I felt that so much because
Look
in
in
that
his
moment when I just feel like
eyes.
all hope is lost, just that holding, that hugging me, that just feeling of you're never gonna let me go is just, oh, like
Larian, that
it
hug
just
needs to be longer.
yeah, Larian, we're gonna need you to fix that. We also need you to add a hug as an option.
Option.
Yeah.
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 Yep.
We need the ability to just hug Astarion
I do
instead of
Exactly
just
what
kissing him all the time.
because I
Not that I'm
do it for
complaining,
reassurance.
but
Like in the morning, I walk up to him. All right, it is
it's hug
comfort
yeah.
time.
time. Anytime there's like a long battle, I have to reassure him like I am still here for you.
Yeah.
I am here.
Yeah.
Hugs.
Yeah.
Hugs
Yeah.
all around.
Honestly, I'm really surprised that like hugging him wasn't an option. Uh I would because it was funny because when I experienced that scene in the game, I was talking to, Kix about it, and I go, "Why can't I hug him?" And she goes, "That's a one-time thing."
My heart.
Yeah.
I immediately wanted to email Larian and be like,
We
"Hey,
need more
as
hugs.
you are updating your bug fixes, add an option to be
Add
able to hug Astarion more, please." I mean, the kisses are nice, don't get me wrong, I would take that any day of the week, but there are
Mans
just
needs some
points where you just want some
hugs.
hugs, you know?
Yes.
I agree with that statement. It's nice to hug every once in a
Yeah.
while. So, yeah, I think that part of his storyline too is so fantastically relatable because there are moments in when I feel like all is lost that just that being held by the
Gotta
person I
comfort
care
him.
about. Yeah, that literally melts away so much. So much. And maybe I'm crazy on that front. Maybe it is just a me thing and guys feel free to comment below on this part, but I I just to me that fixes so much. It just helps me to realize I'm not alone. And yeah, I mean that character development overall is just it's fantastic. It's
My
so
love for him
relatable.
hit me like a brick wall. I was not expecting it at all because I was messaging you guys in the group chat like the
Yeah,
first
before we
day.
started
I
playing.
Yeah,
I was,
before
I
we
was like,
started playing.
Astarion! You guys are like,
Who?
who?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, Pay attention, get the game.
Yeah.
Astarion.
Well, it was funny because I already had plans to play it, but I was in the middle of traveling for work. So I didn't have time to sit down and buy the game when it first came out. So you
Yeah.
had gotten a head start with that over me. And we bought it for you for your birthday. So we waited a little bit on her getting the game. And it was just so funny because at first she was, and she's not kidding, in our group chat, she was just Astarion, 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 and we're like, "Okay, I mean, yeah,
Here
he's a
she
cool
goes
guy."
with another
Yeah,
hyperfixation.
yeah, and we were just like, "Okay, this is her newest obsession. We support you," you know?
Yeah.
But yeah.
Don't get
Yeah,
it.
and then so she then is, by the way, you ever want the perfect Astarion guide approval, she's the person to play with. She knows how to get
This is the
every
dialogue you want.
approval.
Pick
Yeah,
this one. Here, go here.
except
Talk to this person.
except for the one time you thought you were gonna get me one scene and you made me break up with him. That
I was trying to do something else.
heartbreaking.
Reload.
I
Reload.
am not even kidding. So you hadn't started playing with us yet, but I'm not even kidding. She tells me, she goes, "This is so gonna be worth it." She goes, "Break up with him." And I go, "What?
No.
No, I'm not gonna what?" She goes, "I promise you, it will be worth it." And I was like, "Okay, fine." So I tell Marcus, because we're playing with Marcus, save. So he saves. And literally, I break up with him, and he gives you the whole line of just like, "Well, fine," and
I actually
yeah,
enjoyed, it this time. You
yeah,
were different.
yeah, yeah, and
Wow.
literally, and by the end of it, I was like, why do I feel like I got broken up with when I technically told him we had to break up? And I'm yelling at her going, "That wasn't worth it." She's like, "What are you
Did it make you
talking
feel
about?"
something?
Oh my god, it made me cry
It
is
was
what
worth
it
it.
did. It was so not worth it. I only want happy feelings with Astarion and, maybe some "we gotta solve this together" kind of feelings, but I did not need that level of heartbreak, okay? I was not prepared for that. And so, yeah, I'm sitting there and I was like, "That was totally not worth it." He's oh my gosh, like, just the delivery of every single line of that character is just
It's amazing.
fantastic. I mean, his sarcasm, the way he says it, like, his body language, it's all so well done. I mean,
All day.
And it was so funny watching my husband, like, see his performance in the game, and it's like, "I get
yeah,
it."
yeah,
I looked at
yeah,
my husband, I was like, "I'm
yeah,
glad you get it."
yeah. Yeah, and it's so funny because, like, even Marcus so the other night, we got that scene with the spell book,
Uh-huh.
right? That book, and it was so funny because then even he starts cracking up, and he goes, "Alright," he goes, "That one got me." Like, there's at some point in that game, he will
Accept it.
get you. Like, it's just
Accept it. No one is
oh my
immune.
gosh. Yeah, no, it was fantastic, and I was just like, "Oh my gosh." But, yeah, I definitely think he has such a relatable character, and that's why right now he is definitely my form of escapism, for sure.
I haven't
I
had
just
a hyperfixation hit this hard for years, and I am living my best life right now.
Yeah, I'm going back in my head on all the things I used to hyperfixate on, and I was the same way. It would be like a certain show or a certain artist or something, and it would be my complete obsession for
It's like,
months.
this is my life
Months
now.
on end. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then gone. Like, I don't even know who that person is.
And that is the most heart-wrenching thing, to
Yeah.
lose a hyperfixation. When you can start to feel it slip away, you're like,
Yeah.
"No, no, come back.
Yeah.
Come back." And then it's gone. And
Yeah.
then, like, honestly, I'll sink into a depression until the next thing comes along.
Yeah. Me too.
Oh, I am really interested to see when she moves on from her hyperfixation of Astarion.
That
I
one might
don't
be around for a
this is
while.
That
this
I
one's
know,
gonna be
I'm not saying it won't be around for a while, I'm just saying, because you have to realize, previous to this, her hyperfixation was 7 Korean men that just
True.
literally left for the military, so
Yeah.
and
Fair.
we saw how that went.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
bawled her eyes out. So
Yeah. And now I can't even keep up on Twitter. I feel so bad. I've gotten to be such like a I don't wanna call it like a lazy fan, but I've been so overwhelmed with life that I don't get too sad if I miss like a music video premiere or something.
yeah.
Where before that used to be like my entire week. Like I would stay up, I would have a special shirt on, I would make snacks. I didn't care what was going on. And now I'm like, okay, I need to something else is in the spotlight now.
Yeah, she literally the fixation on BTS slowly started slipping away.
Yeah.
So now I'm really interested to see how the fixation on Astarion's gonna go away.
Yeah.
It helps that I have people to fuel it.
True.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is true. Although I don't share when you play with me. It was so funny because oh, who was it? We were playing with my marketing team, and I think you were there that night
Yes.
where Maddie actually smacked Astarion. And he didn't know that, like, you could actually attack, like, the NPCs and stuff, and I got so angry at him, I actually had my rogue stab him in game for hitting Astarion.
Yeah.
I was like, "Don't you touch him."
Astarion has an entire army of just feral people that will burn the world down if anyone hurts him.
Yeah, Astarion just approves. Who we getting? Like,
Yeah. All right, the gloves are coming off.
yeah.
The first
Kid
time
gloves, let's no more.
the first time I played with you guys, obviously I had heard you guys talk about Astarion a lot.
Yeah.
So I get in the game and I'm like, okay, where is he? Gotta go find him. And so Adela was talking to him, so I, listened into that and everything. And then I went over to find him and he's like going through a book. And I go to talk and he goes, I'm a little busy. And then he goes back to his book. I'm like, ow.
Like, oh no.
How rude.
Immediate rejection. But I'm not gonna lie, I do kinda like the fact that Larian has that built into the game where you're
Yeah.
kind of a little protected on that storyline,
Yeah.
and yeah, it was pretty funny because then we play together, and she'll try to go over and talk to Astarion, and I'll hear the dialogue of, "I'm a little busy," or, "Now's not a good time to
Now's
chat,"
not
or
the time
something.
for chit
Yeah,
chat.
Yeah.
and all of a sudden, I'm just, like, running over there going, Are you talking to Astarion behind my back?" And she's like, "No."
No. Definitely not loading up my own save right now.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's such an but, in all honesty, yeah, that character, I think, was so well done and just really thought through, and I think definitely for somebody like me, it is definitely the most relatable. I mean, honestly, all the characters in that game are
It is a
fantastic.
beautiful game.
I think they did such an amazing job with that game, and it is very easy to make that game an escapism for
Yes.
sure. I
Yeah,
think
absolutely.
yeah, it's definitely a good one to get lost in because, like, after a hard week, I'm just like, I just need to go disappear into a different world that's not my own."
It was so bad when it first came out. I I would I know I've mentioned before in our group chat, people say, "Oh, with ADHD, sometimes you forget to eat." I'm like, "I can never forget to eat." No, when Baldur's Gate came out, I forgot
You
to
forgot
eat.
to eat? Oh, no.
I wouldn't eat, I wouldn't drink. I would just look out the window, I'm like, "It's dark."
I
It was
mean,
so bad.
Yeah.
the last book that I read was kind of the same way. I was so into it. My husband would come home, I would be reading, laying in bed just reading, just full on in this other world, and he'd be like, "What do you want for dinner?" "Don't know, not hungry." Still reading.
Yes. Yes. I am so, so, so excited for you to be in the
I
world of ACOTAR right now.
I would say I put the book down, like, 5 minutes later, my stomach's growling, I'm like, "I'm hungry.
Yeah, "Oh, I guess I do have to take care of
I do
this."
need to actually eat. My bad."
Yeah. I'll break away.
See, I don't experience that. I mean, I get, like, escapism because, like, I mean, like I said, I'll use Baldur's Gate to be my way to unwind and forget about the world, but I don't forget to eat when it comes to that. I will forget to eat at work, but that's because I'm so dang busy at work.
Right, yeah.
However, when it comes to that level of escapism, I don't hit that. I really don't.
If I am fully left to my own devices, I won't eat full meals. I will snack
Yep,
when I
same.
absolutely have to.
Yep.
I never forget to eat. Like, I recognize that I'm hungry, but it's not urgent enough for me to break away from what I'm doing. The only
And make a
reason I
proper meal.
Yes, and
Yeah.
the only reason I do that is because I have a family, and
Oh,
I need
yeah.
to feed them.
No, not
Right.
me. I'm like, "Oh, I'm hungry. Imma go eat," because and my husband knows, if I say I'm hungry, you have an hour at most to feed me before hangry comes out.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, no, it's funny because I'll go on work trips and stuff, and my sales team that always goes with me and my coworkers are like, "Oh, Adela's hungry, you better feed her." It's just like they know, and I don't know, for me, I don't really have that issue, like, I'll forget to eat if I'm back to back to back meeting, but that's also because, A, I don't like to eat in meetings, and B, I don't want to use my eating time in a meeting, you know? So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
so I there are times where I'll skip work, but I don't ever forget to actually eat. It's just I'm too busy. I can't eat right now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but in terms of just escapism in general, I don't know. I don't get that lost in things.
I absolutely
I'm
do,
fully immersed in that world.
and I'm probably at my happiest
Yeah.
whenever that happens.
Oh, don't
Yeah.
get me wrong. I'm definitely at my happiest when I'm talking to a Starian, but yeah, but I have no problem breaking away from that though.
Oh, I do.
Yeah.
It's a struggle.
Yes, books and video games right now are my biggest thing.
It's really interesting to see the differences in what you guys experience versus what I experience mentally. And it's, yeah, I mean, even with it just being a branch of anxiety still stemming from root cause, it's interesting to see how different the two are side by side.
Is the inability to direct focus.
Yeah.
Like, I would love to be able to redirect my focus into urgent matters, but it doesn't work that way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
versus me, it's like I redirect all my focus on that matter because I need it done and I don't have to worry about it anymore. Yeah, that's the total opposite of me for sure.
Yeah, absolutely not. I cannot break myself away. It's a real struggle.
So coping mechanism wise, I mean, when you do get broken out of the escapism or you just don't have the drive to want to do things, how do you guys actually cope with that?
Honestly, I find it very hard to, and I think that this is where, like, medication and therapy really comes into play, but as someone who doesn't really do either, I don't have any true coping mechanism other than a support system, other than a husband that recognizes when I'm starting to spiral, when I need to be like brought out of something in a healthy way. You know, like he's not going to get irritated, like, wow, you've been reading for, 2 hours now and there's stuff that needs to be done. He's on, he's like, okay, let's go ahead, let's put the book down. And not like belittling me,
Yeah.
but he's very like a gentle, like, I understand and where I'm going to be gentle with you for this. Like,
Yeah.
I'll give you a few more minutes, but I'm letting you prepare now that soon you're gonna have to put that book down and we're gonna have to take care of some stuff. And I
Makes sense.
right now I just have a really good support system.
Yeah. I'm still figuring everything out, but my husband has also been amazing with it, and he's figuring out how to handle it along with me because it's still very new to him also.
Yeah.
But a big thing that has seemed to help is he will ask me if I can do like a simple task. It'd be, can you unload the dishwasher?
Yeah.
Or can you load the dishwasher?
Mhm.
And just the simple question of him asking me, I'm like, yeah, I can do that. That's fine. And because I told him that I would do it,
Then the pressure's on.
I have to do it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm gonna fail.
Yeah. I don't want to
So I
disappoint
have to do it.
anyone.
Right.
Now, do you struggle sometimes with like chore or object permanence? Like, if you don't see that it's something that needs to be taken care of, it doesn't
Out of sight, out of
exist.
mind.
Out of sight, like my car. I'm always like, whenever I'm in my car, I'm like, wow, I
It's
need to
really dirty.
clean
I
this
need to
car.
clean
Like,
this
I need
car.
to dust it. I need to get this trash out.
Yeah.
And then as soon as I close the garage door and I'm inside, nope,
Gone.
not a concern anymore.
Now I'm kind of wondering if my husband has ADHD.
Yeah.
Like, that is my thing. If I am not in the kitchen currently being bothered by dishes, it is not on my to-do list.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, I do know that Marcus definitely Kuma definitely has that very mentality, which I think is also the reason he purposely hides himself in his room. So he's just like, "Oh, no, I don't
Nobody
see
has to deal
it.
with it.
I
It's
don't have to deal
fine.
with it. It's fine. It doesn't exist."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, which one coping mechanism that I've
Or I
heard
don't
of.
know. I have to admit, sorry to cut you
Oh,
off.
you're fine.
Either A, my husband has ADHD, or B, he just doesn't. He just looks at it and goes, it's fine right there.
Yeah.
I don't know which one it is yet. So.
Yeah. I'll be in the kitchen and I'll throw something away. I'm like, man, that trash really needs to go out. And then I need to let the dog in, so I let the dog in. And then my child's screaming for me for something. Who knows
Yeah.
what?
Trash has been long
Trash is
forgotten.
gone.
Yeah,
You guys,
it's done.
I've
I
showed you guys the Drew Lynch stand-up
Yeah.
comedy of where
Yeah.
he talks about how his wife has ADHD. And as funny as that stand-up is, it is such a good picture of how ADHD
It really
works. It
is.
really is, honestly, as funny as it is. It's such a good image because the funny part is hanging out with her so much, and even you. I've actually seen it in motion where you guys will go and start something
Probably.
and then walk away and then start another thing and then walk away, and it's literally this chain of just
Yeah. Half
projects you've
finished stuff.
started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there are times where I feel like I'm behind you guys just going, "Okay, I'll
Honestly,
finish
that
this."
honestly, that happened to me as we were getting ready.
Yeah,
Just
you
Yeah.
just
did, yep.
earlier. I was like, "Okay, I need to do my eye makeup." So I did my eye makeup. And then I'm standing there, "What else do I need to do?" I don't remember. And I was like, "Eyeliner. I gotta do my eyeliner." So then I did my eyeliner
But then you walked out
out.
because you saw her doing her hair and
Yeah.
then started doing your hair,
Yeah.
and then suddenly you came back to do your eyeliner, but then noticed something on your face, so you started fixing your face.
Yeah. And then I started to come down here and I was like, "Wait, I didn't do my lips yet." So then I went back up and did my lips.
and then finally realized that she still hadn't finished her eyeliner and then finished up her eyeliner. I was
I
like,
had an incident at home where I was like, "Okay, I need to vacuum, but first I need to empty the vacuum, but the trash is full, which means I would have to take it
Uh-huh.
out, but the can is at the curb, which means I have to bring the can up
Mhm.
and then replace the trash so I can empty the vacuum cleaner so I can vacuum. I'm just not gonna do it.
Yeah,
I'm
that
just gonna
is exactly how my brain
yeah,
goes. I
yeah,
have to do all of these things to
to
accomplish
get
this
this one
one
task
task done,
done so it can wait.
and it's
It's not urgent enough yet.
completely overwhelming.
Yeah.
Shut down.
Yep.
It's fine, I'll live with the dog hair.
Yeah, that's until it is, like, to the point where I'm like, "Okay, it's really getting to me."
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, see, that's the total opposite of me. I'm like, trash is full. Out it goes. I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of funny to hear your guys' perspective on it because I literally in my head just get it done.
Yeah.
Like and you're right. That is very true when you're describing the fact that you have all the mini steps in between that because you're not wrong. You're totally not wrong. You definitely do have all of those minor steps in between completing such a simple task, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And but it's funny because in my head, I don't see it that way. I just go, "Okay, take out the freaking trash." Like it's so simple to me.
Yeah.
And but yet you guys are over here basically breaking it down to a science,
Uh-huh.
coming up with calculations and formulas, and I'm over here like, "Pick trash bag up, take trash bag out, put trash can, put in trash can." Like I it's just I to and then go back inside, put trash bag in. And to me, it doesn't freak me out as much, I guess, like so it's really interesting to hear all of the miniature steps that you guys go through for that,
And
it's
it's hard because I experienced that as a kid, where they'd be like, "Okay, I need to clean my room," but there's so much I need to do to
To
actually
get the room
achieve
clean.
a clean room, so I
Yeah.
just wouldn't do it. And then my parents, like, they ADHD wasn't even on the table when I
Yeah.
was a kid. Like, it was not even a mindset that that's something that could be affecting me. So it was always, "It's just so simple. Why can't you do it?" And my immediate answer was, "I don't know."
Yeah.
And that is the worst answer that a child can give their parents. Like, "Why can't you just get this simple thing done?" And the child's just like, "I don't know." So they're
Mhm.
like, "You're just being disobedient, you're being lazy," and there were always punishments to follow, but as a kid, I'm like, "I don't know." Like, I have no answer. It
Honestly, okay, you're saying this, and now I'm slightly wondering if my daughter might have ADHD. Because when we ask her to do something like pick up her toys, she's completely overwhelmed and she's like, I don't know where to start.
Yeah.
Now this is making sense that she possibly, okay.
see,
I'm
it's
not
really
trying to
funny.
diagnose her. She's
No,
only 6,
it's
but
it's extremely stressful as a child to not have any answers,
yeah,
and you're making someone so angry, like, they want to know, like, "What is wrong with you? Why
yeah.
you can't do this?" And but I don't know.
See, it's funny because with my oldest son, Caden, he has actually been officially diagnosed with OCD. And it's funny because up until we got the official diagnosis and there was a point, there was something that had happened with him where I realized, okay, there's something going on with him because this isn't normal, I guess you can say. And when I say normal, I mean you could tell it was definitely out of the ordinary for his behavior to a situation.
Yeah.
And so it was a lot of red flags. And for me, I was kind of looking at this like maybe there's something there because I was seeing a lot of my symptoms in him.
Yeah.
And so eventually talking to his father, we took him to a therapist and after, a couple months and stuff, she came back with the official diagnosis of OCD
Mhm.
and openly told us, that that is a hereditary thing. So I was like, "Well, sorry, kid," and it's funny because whenever Kaden, and it's funny because OCD has obviously very similar traits to ADHD, where there's a process, but with OCD, obviously the difference is it has to be done a certain way. And OCD is very big on the fight or flight response and the way that the his therapist explained it to us is with Caden, he he has this mentality of, if I don't do it this way, something bad happens here. And so with him, when you ask him something like clean up your room, he has to do it in a very particular way. And if he doesn't have the ability to do it in that particular way for whatever reason, he immediately gets overwhelmed, and it's just a shutdown. And previous to us getting the diagnosis, it was very much that question of, why are you struggling with this, buddy? Are you like, just pick up the toys, put them in the bin, and put the bin away. And but now looking back on that situation, I realize it's because he has a certain specific way of doing things, and he has to do it in that way. And the funny part is, it's not always the exact same way. Like, there are times when obviously picking up the living room plus his room plus the front room, there are some times where he will go in a specific order. There are other times where he has to pick up certain types of toys first. There are other times where he has to put it in the put away basket and then take it to his room and then put it away in his room. But he has to have a designated method to do it. And if he doesn't get that method, his mind just freaks out and shuts down.
Yeah.
And looking at that, I go, okay. And, obviously, as a mom, especially when you're just trying to get something done, those situations can be very frustrating. But it's nice to have that answer when you're looking at the situation and going, okay, it's fine. He's trying to process something. How can I help him now process? And I feel like knowing what is going through my kid's head, granted, I'm never perfect and I'm not a mind reader. I don't always know what's going through his head. But at least for me, when I look at the situation of, hey, can you clean up your room after the fifth time I've asked you? It's it's nice to know that I have an answer as to why, because there are days where I ask him, "Hey, pick up your room," and he gets it done right away. Versus when his OCD really is at full force, it's 5 or 6 times before, he finally picks it up. And it's a very easy for me to be able to handle that situation better, and truthfully, it makes parenting better because I know, okay, I have to approach this differently than I normally would. And it definitely helps because I feel like I'm helping adjusting to what it is that he needs in that time. And I think that's very important when like with mental health in any case, is that you need to be able to understand and adjust while still getting the task done. And right now with Caden, a lot of what he's dealing with is challenging that OCD behavior, which is a very, very difficult thing to do with a 7-year-old, because you're basically telling the 7-year-old, whatever you're thinking in here is wrong.
Yeah.
It's not going to cause anything bad. Like, you don't have to do it that way. But for a 7-year-old, that logic only goes so far.
Yeah.
So it requires so much patience and so much effort into basically saying, "Buddy, it's okay. Let's just try it. We can." And it's a lot of just convincing and showing him that it's okay. You don't have to do this strict routine all the time. And because it almost becomes religious at certain points. It's kind of crazy when you think about it, but I feel like with you guys and having your answers, it's literally that same mentality, where, because I will look at the two of you, and full disclosure, y'all are a bunch of basket cases. Like, there are
Pretty true.
points with you two where I'm sitting here going, I'm hurting cats. I am literally hurting cats. And not even just normal, calm, just leave me alone cats. It is cats that literally got dropped in a bathtub. It's just, there are moments where we have to try to get stuff done, and I feel like a lot of the times I'm sitting here going, "Hey guys, we gotta move." And you're right. I need to get up.
But you know what's a lot cooler? If we didn't.
This god awful song. That's what's a lot.
Yeah, yeah. And literally, so I'm sitting here going, okay, And so it's funny because you guys know me very well. I'm very structured. I'm very scheduled. So I'm always like, hey, we're going to get up and out the door at this time. And we got to go do this at this time. I've learned that with the two of you, whatever time I actually want to leave, I tell you guys the hour before is when I want to leave. So by the time the
Okay.
hour actually comes that I want to leave, y'all are already ready. I'm just like, yeah, all right. So now, unfortunately, I've given that away. So you guys are gonna know, oh, hey, I want to
I
leave by
have another
9:30. And they're like,
hour.
oh, she doesn't want to leave
It's
until
fine.
10:30. It's fine. So that's gonna change. How? I'm not telling you, but it will. I will still get to leave on time. I tell you that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird as still learning about all the things, and I'm definitely gonna be looking at how I can help my daughter with things and, talking to my therapist is like, is this a possibility with her? Um, how can I navigate it with her? How can I help her, figure out the whole process of,
Fun fact, your therapist actually cannot diagnose your daughter.
yeah, I know,
Okay.
but she can give me an idea if I need to
Oh, yeah, yeah,
seek
yeah.
out help for her.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Big conflict of interest there.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. But she can at least, because I've talked to her about my daughter possibly having anxiety because she gets scared over certain things. Starting kindergarten was a big thing. She was terrified, like having
Well, that's a
nightmares.
big change.
Oh, of course it is. And it just seemed like she was completely obsessed with it. It's the only thing she could think of. Anytime it was brought up, she was crying, I don't want to, like she was scared. And I was like, is that a normal reaction out of a kid? Is the first kid I've ever had. So, is this normal? And I mean, she pretty much told me it's probably a normal kid fear versus, a true anxiety type situation. But so yeah, she can help me figure out if I need to then get her help.
I mean, in
So
all actuality, if you think as a mom, especially if there's an inkling of that, it doesn't hurt to go talk to somebody. It
yeah,
really doesn't. Because that was my big thing with Caden is that I would look at him and I'd be like, there's something there. And it's not that there's anything wrong with my son. I mean, my son is amazing. He functions just fine. It's just as his mom, you know, you know there's something off about this situation. Can't pinpoint exactly what it is, but you just know. And that was my big thing with Caden was I kept seeing different signs of it. And at the time when I first would look at it, I would be thinking to myself, "Oh, that's just a kid. That's just how they play." But then it would progress and it would evolve and then I'd be like, "Oh, no. Okay. Okay. Time to go see somebody," because
yeah,
eventually it was so apparent in my face, I could not ignore it.
yeah.
Yeah, it definitely happened.
And I think with me and all of that, because I'm still figuring it out for myself, but then I see signs of things in her, and it's like, oh, I'm it's almost a hyperfixation in and of itself,
Yeah.
where I'm like, "Wait, hold on, is this an issue or is this not an issue?"
I don't want my child to struggle the same way that I did.
Yes, exactly.
It definitely can be a scary thing. I mean, yeah, it's funny because growing up too, even with me, my parents didn't really understand a lot of my depression. And so now, obviously that I'm older, they understand that there is some things because obviously when you're a teenager, they're like, "Oh, they'll grow out of it." But as I got older and I continued to deal with it, it was a very big eye-opening situation for them where they would look at me and be like, "Okay, this yeah, she really does have something going on because she's older, she's mature, she has a job, a house, that kind of thing, but yet I still struggle with some of the stuff." I mean, there are times I've gone over to my parents' house just randomly and just sat on their couch and cried and just talked about it because I I felt like I had no other options, and a lot of the times, my parents are very good at just listening to me and they'll obviously, do the very loving parent thing where they're like, "Well, can we help with anything?" And I just go, "No. I just needed to cry," and they've been very good at creating kind of that safe space for me to be able to just let all of that out. And so with my kids, I definitely act that way towards them, where when Caden comes to me and he goes, "Mommy, I'm sad." I take that. I don't care what I'm doing. It's immediate. "Okay, baby, what's going on?" And I take that time and I sit there and I talk to him, because a lot of the times again, you don't want to ignore that. You definitely don't want to ignore that. And to hear that you kind of went through the situation where it was ignored for so long, it's amazing that you honestly were able to function without those answers, because I look at this situation even with myself and I go, if I didn't know that, I'd think I was going crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Well,
I did for the longest time. It wasn't until there were people talking out or speaking about their experiences
yeah.
getting diagnosed as an adult where I'm like,
Well, and
wait.
that's kind of what it's not even necessarily that our symptoms were ignored. They just weren't understood.
Right.
Yes.
And that's to no one's fault other than science hadn't got there yet.
Right, like, I'm not upset with my parents by
Oh,
any means, because
absolutely not.
as a parent, I can understand where if you ask your child to do something, and it just seems so simple, but they don't do it, and they don't have an answer as to why they did it. I can understand as a parent where that would be frustrating to hear,
Yeah.
and I'm not upset with them, but I am almost so grateful now that I have answers,
Hmm.
because
Yeah.
it wasn't just like a childhood quirk, it's something that followed
Yeah.
me my whole life.
Right.
And the craziest thing to me, my brother was diagnosed with ADHD when he was a kid,
Yeah.
and I was not,
Yeah.
because it's so vastly different in boys and girls.
That's true. That is
It is
very true.
very different.
Even into adulthood, his ADHD is completely different than mine.
Because it's internalized and we're not a disruption, so we get overlooked.
It's a lot of internal panic is really what it is. Because even with me and my anxiety, I look very calm and collected on the surface, but my inner thoughts, oh no, 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 no. That is a very scary place to be.
But I feel like, I mean, I'm not in your head, but just talking to you, you y- you get anxious over a certain thing and you're thinking about that one thing.
Oh yeah, and that one thing definitely makes no sense, and a lot of the times you're sitting there wondering, why are you what why is you do realize that that can't physically happen, right? Yeah, but what if it does?
Yeah. But
Yeah.
so the difference, at least for me, my thoughts go 90 nothing and they make 0 sense.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's at one second it's dogs and the next second it's airplanes,
Yeah.
and there's no correlation. They're not related, and I will forget within minutes
Yeah.
what I was thinking about 5
Yeah.
minutes ago.
Like
Versus me, I'm stuck on it for the next 3 weeks at least.
Yeah.
I said
It
earlier, I'm getting on my phone to check emails. Next thing I know, I'm looking at Google Maps, trying to see the layout of other countries because I just get curious.
yeah, I wonder what this building looks like in Turkey.
Yeah, see the biggest thing about me, and you experience a lot of it, Bugby does, and it's with me, I see I can relate on the hyperfixation because I hyperfixate on specific problems.
Mhm.
But the issue with me is that I don't think of every single step that gets involved in having to solve that problem. I think of every possible worst case scenario that could go wrong with said problem and then come up with a solution for every possible worst case scenario that goes wrong with that problem. And so I feel like I'm always prepared, but then I always then branch off and think I'm not prepared enough. So by the time I'm talking to Bugby about everything,
Yeah.
I've already come up with plans A through Z and Z through A and have backup plans for each of those. And she's like, okay, plans J, Z, Y, X, Q, R, T, V, and W are impossible.
Yeah.
Get rid of those. And she's like, yeah, she's sitting there going, those can they Adela, they are physically impossible. Like
Yeah.
she's just like not happening. Get those out of your head. And she's very great at walking me back into reality and getting me out of my head to a point where she will look at me and just be, Vincent's here.
Yeah. I am a very logical thinker. Just sometimes I just can't focus on one thing. My
And
thoughts are very messy.
it's funny because she's really great at focusing on my problems. Her own, on the other hand, I'm the one that has to go in there and be like, okay, here we go.
Bring it back.
A through G, this is what you have to worry about. This can wait till tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's a very good balance between that. I mean, as much as we deal with very different symptoms of things, we are very good at balancing each other out because she will look at my stuff and be, that's absolutely ridiculous. Versus I will look at her stuff and go, okay, this needs organization. And she goes, oh, great, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a totally different mindset for sure, but it definitely balances out, which is hilarious when you think about it. Because she can't organize her own crap. She'll organize mine all day long.
Yeah.
Because my stuff is a totally different thing and something she can actually process.
I don't know. It's different because worrying about your things is less stressful, I guess.
Oh, but see, she actually said it. Kix actually said it earlier. When it comes to somebody else, the pressure's on.
Yeah.
Because at that point, somebody else is
It's
relying.
depending
Oh,
on
but
you.
then, so yeah, that makes
So that
sense.
makes yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that does make sense. Because at that point,
Full circle.
I'm depending on her. Wow.
Also another thing, I talk in circles.
Drunk and sober.
Yeah. Yeah. I talk in circles.
You don't really do that though.
No.
I don't think that's an ADHD thing at that one. She doesn't do that.
I also just I disassociate a lot. I mean, I'm sure you guys have probably noticed, like, one minute I'm talking, like, a lot, and the next I don't want anything to do with anyone, and I will just sit there and just glazed over. Just,
Yeah.
I'm done now.
That'll happen to me. It happens to me at work. I'll be perfectly fine, and then all of a sudden I'm not, and thankfully I have the ability to just take my laptop and go home.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I'm having one ADH moment on this show. You sitting there in that dress, and by the way, she looks very cute for those of you that can't see her on the podcast.
Thank you.
Fabulous.
She looks absolutely adorable versus me. I'm over here in the most sportsy gear you can find ish.
I wore a purple shirt because it matched my purple hair.
Yeah. And so, but the look that you gave when you glazed over, you officially just looked like a little China doll. It was just like, I literally looked at you and was like, she looks like a China doll. Yeah, I just because she was just like big eyed, like just staring off, like just,
When I check out, I check out.
I was
That's
like,
amazing.
oh my gosh, like I was like, I kind of want to pick her up and put her on a shelf, like.
We have lots of those. She is now part of the set.
I know, because your hair is just so done perfectly. You have the matching scrunchie to your dress, and just
Amazing.
and then she makes the face, and I was like, I really just want to put her on the shelf. Like, she's so like porcelain perfect right now.
That's amazing.
Sorry, that was my one ADHD moment of the show.
you're fine.
I was just like, my gosh, I was like, she's like a doll. I'm like,
Oh my goodness.
oh my gosh, that was just too perfect. I couldn't help it. I was so fixated on that look. I was just like, oh man, maybe I do have ADHD.
I don't know. 1 out of
1 out of the 5
15
that we
symptoms.
Yeah. It is just a spectrum.
Yeah.
One of the other things that we've talked about is auditorial processing.
Yeah,
That's a struggle.
it is.
Wait,
I
what?
can't,
What do you mean by auditorial processing?
like,
I'll let you explain because you know a little bit more than me.
again, not a professional.
Just, not
Experience.
newly
Yeah.
diagnosed.
So, like, for me, I can't listen to more than one person talking to me
At the same
and
time.
at the same time. And I genuinely get frustrated
Oh
if
my
people
God.
try and do that.
Yes.
I get so angry. I'm like, "Why can't you wait until I am done listening to the person that was talking to me in the first place?"
Yeah.
Like, if my husband talks to me while I'm on the phone with my grandma, and I see him, and I see his mouth moving, but as soon as I try to focus on what he's saying, I can't hear either of them. I cannot understand
Yes.
either of them, and I get so annoyed. I'm like,
Mhm.
"Why can't you just wait?"
Yes.
Or people, like in job experience where I'll be on the phone, like training, and I'm on the phone and I'm trying to be like, "Oh, I don't know. I'm trying to help this person on the phone. I don't know how to help them." And as they're talking to me on the phone, the person training me is telling me how to help them, and I've lost what both of them
Yeah.
are saying.
In
Yeah.
all fairness, that's just called being polite. Like, I just because I mean, even me, I get frustrated with that situation. But I will
But you can
say
follow it,
I
that's
can
the
follow
thing.
it.
I
Yeah,
can
that is
I can't.
yeah.
like I lose both of them, and then I'm like, "I'm sorry, what were you saying?" And then the person I'm talking to on the phone thinks that I wasn't paying attention or that I'm
Yeah.
annoyed with them,
Yeah.
and then I get annoyed at the person that interrupted me,
Mhm.
and it is a whole thing.
Yeah.
Or, like, having a delay understanding what, like, if someone's asking me a question and I go, "Huh?" And then halfway through them repeating their question, it clicks what they were saying, and I
Yeah.
respond to them.
That happens to
Like,
me
"Oh, yeah,
all
yeah,
the
it just
time.
it just took me a second. It just took me a second." And then having to watch TV with subtitles. I cannot
Yeah.
give up my subtitles.
My gosh,
My hus
subtitles drive me nuts.
my
I have to
husband
use subtitles.
likes to try and talk to me while the TV's going, or try and talk to me while our daughter is talking to me, and I'm just like, I I just and I get so overwhelmed so quickly trying to process multiple
Yeah.
things at once.
And then I gotta break
I
down.
get pissed.
I have, like, a little meltdown where I'll, like, cover my ears and I'll go like, "Da da 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 da," and that is, I feel crazy for doing that, but
Yeah.
that is my reaction, just to go like, "Da da 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 da
Yeah,
da da,"
I
like no one's getting through to me, I'm shutting down now.
I will 100% whoa, 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 one person at a time, and then peace. I can I'll be like,
Yeah,
"You,
form a line.
you first,
Yeah.
go. Great, alright. You, go."
Yeah, because I will get overwhelmed, and if
Uh-huh,
it gets so bad, I'll shut down and be like, "No one talk to me for at least 15 minutes. I
uh-huh,
need to go into a secluded room, take a breath."
yeah, and at my office, it's very open, we just have cubicles that we work in, so people will be walking around, and my desk is next to, or my cubicle, I guess, is next to where we put all of our mail, and there's office supplies and all of those kinds of things. So people will come and visit every once in a
Mhm.
while, but they're standing on the other side of my cubicle wall. Can't handle it. If I'm
No.
trying to focus and there are 7 conversations happening that I can hear,
I get irate.
oh, it's bad.
Yeah, I'll, like, put a knuckle in my ear and then
Uh-huh.
and I'll have to, like, close my eyes, and I look like a crazy person.
I can't handle it.
No.
I
Like,
I
Walmart is my worst nightmare.
oh, I hate that.
See, versus me at work, I have like 7 people before I even get to my office, and I'm just looking at 'em like, "Okay, here we go." And it's funny because, yeah, you're right. With me, I can still process what's
What
going
each of them
on
are
and have
saying.
the 7 different conversations, and it granted, I hate it. I hate dealing with it because I'm just because then I have to sit there and be like, "Okay, yes, I will deal with you. No, that's not happening right now. We'll have to talk about that more." And
Mhm.
it's just it's such a mess that by the time I get back to my desk, I have to sit there and write things down because then I just because I'm not like you 2 where you walk away from those conversations and you
They're
immediately
gone.
yeah,
They're
they're
It's
out.
gone.
yeah.
Yeah, there's
So
nothing in there.
yeah, for me, it's because and then again, that leads back to my, okay, they're now counting on me. They've mentioned it, fear of failure. And it's, yeah, it's to me, I retain all of that. It's almost like a photographic memory or a tape recorder in my head where I sit there and just, okay. And, but you know what I do is when that happens, I also write them a follow-up email because to me, if I don't have that follow-up, I also can't go back and remember basically what was said. So it's a good way for me to keep track of my projects. But yes, I am very different in you two in that aspect where I can pay attention to the 7 different conversations happening
I
around me.
I am
Do I
re
like it? No. But can I do it? Yes.
I am 100% required to take notes when I go into a meeting because when I walk out of that meeting, everything that I heard in that meeting out the other ear.
Yep.
Gone.
Yep.
Absolutely gone. Especially if it's important
Oh, Apollo's
information.
clocked off for the day.
He's like, "I'm out."
Oh,
He stretched like a beautiful little wolf. I don't know if the camera caught that, but it was amazing.
I'm sure it did.
Um, ADHD.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
that one was kind of my fault.
that's okay. But we'll go to department meetings, and there's always different changes and things that come with regulations and with the market, with inflation, things like that. Then our rates are changing. Insurance is very much affected by all of that as well. Weather also affecting everything. And so then things will be changing, and I have to know that, okay, we don't do this way anymore, we do it this way. In the moment, I'm like, yeah, that makes perfect sense. Walk out of that meeting. What was said? I don't, it's
Yeah.
gone.
Oh, yeah, no, I am the worst D&D player sometimes because the Marcus is a terrific DM, but unless I am actively taking notes, which I need to, but sometimes I'm not always thinking about it, and then I'm like, what was that person's name again? That was a really important thing I was supposed to remember. My character does not have ADHD. They would remember it. So can you tell me, what do they remember?
That's amazing.
It is actually really hilarious playing D&D with her and it's so funny because we'll be in the middle of combat and she will just have a deer in the headlight stare at what's going on. And then by the time it gets to her, she goes, "Oh, what just happened?"
I probably clocked out.
Yeah,
What, what am I
she is
doing?
deer in the headlight
When we
staring
get to
at this
like hour
combat.
4 of playing, I'm just
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
circus monkeys.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like,
Absolutely.
what? And there are a lot of times where our sessions are 8 hours long because we just don't get together so often that we dedicate a specific day
To
to
play,
it. And
yeah.
it's so funny because she'll get to that wall and then we hit combat and she's our cleric. So she's also responsible for keeping us alive.
I do a good job.
And Daniel is over there dying. I'm over here playing pretend healer by throwing potions at everybody. And she's just over here going,
Deer in the headlight. What's happening?
Moonbeam. It's just like,
Moonbeam is amazing.
we're like, he's dying. Can you heal him? Oh, yeah. Next turn. Next turn rolls around.
Wait, what am I doing?
I'm gonna run this way. Like, okay.
It is so accurate.
But it's so funny because then like we've learned that with her, hey, we need you to heal said person. She goes, okay.
All right.
She's-
They're not dead enough
yeah,
yet. It's
they're
fine.
not dead yet.
Yes.
Oh, they're dead. They're down. Oh, they are down. Yeah.
I'm good at keeping people
Yeah.
alive.
No, she really is. Honestly, like she's very good at focusing on what she needs to do. It's just there are times where she does get the deer in the headlights stare, and we go, okay, we need to tell her what to do this turn.
Yeah, there's your one. All right, it's time to wrap it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, very much so. So I guess especially since you two have very differing opinions on because you're still learning about it. You
Yeah.
dealt with it for a little bit. And so I guess what would be your best advice to give our listeners when it comes to dealing with this?
So, therapy and honestly, just talking to a professional about it, I think is
Get on it.
look. It's
Do
it's very hard for me to sit down and talk to
It is so
someone
much
Do as
about
I
it.
easier
say, not
said.
as I do.
Yeah.
There are a lot of cans of worms I'm just not ready to open yet.
Yeah.
So and again, if it's gonna be troublesome, I avoid it.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
she's pulling a me. She's pulling a me on this one.
I've
Fair.
only ever been to like maybe 1 or 2 therapy appointments.
Yeah.
Honestly, the first one is always the hardest. I've said this
Absolutely.
before in previous
And it was an
episodes.
absolute train wreck that made me never want to go back.
It is absolutely. See,
You gotta find the right therapist.
you have to find the right therapist. That's the big thing. It really is the biggest thing about it. Is
I did a lot of research and tried to find somebody that specialized in ADHD, OCD. I always, I also found somebody who specialized in like childhood trauma and it does child therapy as well, only because I think a lot of my stuff stems from things in my past also, and having somebody who specializes in helping a child in that, um, then helps the adult in me. And she has done a really, really good job of helping me make connections to things, and I'm like, "Oh, yeah, that makes so much sense."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So
you just
that
you have to find the
yeah. And that's what
person.
I want to encourage people, like, don't don't do as I do. Talk to a professional about it. Get that good support group, um, and just try again until whatever system you've landed on works for you.
Yeah.
That's
I agree with that. I think at this point, what I keep telling myself is, "Don't give up, there's nothing wrong with you, your brain is wired differently." And at this stage in my diagnosis, I'm still just trying to accept that
yeah.
and understand that I'm not lazy. Because I have felt lazy for a very long time, and it's been a struggle. Um, so now trying to then accept I'm not lazy. There's nothing wrong with me. My brain works differently. Be patient. Give yourself grace. Like these are all things that I'm trying to tell myself as I navigate through this. And I have started medication for it, and so far it seems to be helping. Um, but that's not the case for everybody. There's several options for medication as well, and we will see. I might have just got lucky with this first one, honestly, but I don't know
It's
if
kinda crazy, again, to just kinda hear the difference because you 2 are working on basically encouraging yourselves to realize you're not lazy, there's something
yeah.
else going on, you guys are
Mhm.
working through it, versus me over here, I'm like, "Slow down. Be a little lazy. It's okay if that doesn't get done right this second."
Yeah.
I'm the total opposite where I'm struggling to sit there and say, "It's okay. It doesn't have to be done right this second.
Yeah.
You can push it off till tomorrow. You can push it off till next week." And that is such a struggle for me.
Meanwhile, I push all of my laundry off until I don't have any more clothes to wear.
Yeah, versus yeah, and then me over here, Wednesday, Friday, fold them on Sunday.
Here I
Like, it's
am,
just
less
yeah.
than 24 hours to get a lot of important stuff done, and I am regretting that.
Yeah. I can't. But see, you're gonna go home and knock it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your best work
Yeah.
every time.
Yeah. I'm the total opposite. I need every single minute I can get. I just nope, because then see, with me, like for you, you will do your best work last minute. With me, I will do my best work and then 2 days later go, "Oh, maybe I should change that. Did I wind up making a mistake?" And then I sit there and review,
And second guess
and then I have
yourself.
to improve, and then it's just yeah, it
Yeah.
winds up being this, "Hey, quick little checklist," to all of a sudden now it's a 10-page report, and it's my brain just it panics. I need every second, and then when I finally have to turn it in, I'm literally turning it in and saying, "So this is just kind of a rough draft. I plan on expanding on it later." And my CEO is sitting there going, "Leave it up to marketing to go up, like, overboard on," and I'm just like, "Sorry, at least it's pretty.
At least it's
At
pretty.
least it's pretty." It's so funny because he knows whenever I bring up a project, I've already got a plan in place, and he's very good at just looking at my project plan and going, "Yeah, you've thought this through. Go for it," and it's good to have that level of support where he just kinda looks at it and goes, "Yeah, you've clearly thought about this."
Yeah.
It's just, I think, and obviously he'll ask his questions and things like that, but most like I rarely ever get a no because I put so much thought and effort into it, and he Yeah, it's a very different process with me versus you will go home tonight and then
Well,
knock it out and be like, "Yeah, this is
see?
great."
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can't. Nope. Nope.
Crazy how the difference is. I think we've established that you do not have ADHD.
Yay! No self-diagnosis on that one. I've got enough to deal with anxiety, depression, and OCD. Those 3 are
Yeah.
whew, they're a doozy. And again, I just every single time I look at it, I'm probably gonna wind up saying this every podcast episode. I just have no idea how those go together. I really don't. I'm still trying to figure that out. Because, like I said, 1 minute, must get this done. Other minute, we need to crawl back into bed. And then the other one is like, this all has to be done a certain way.
Yeah.
It's just
It's opposites attract.
I guess so. I guess so. Maybe honestly, I feel like OCD is like the neat little bow that ties it together because it's like my anxiety's like, get this done right now. My depression's like, can't wait, go back to bed. And then my OCD's like, here's the way it has to be done. And it's
Yeah.
just like the neat little tie into it. You're gonna rest for a little bit, you're gonna get up, and this is how you're gonna go about it.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay. Like I can't even do my planner without my stickers and stuff. My OCD just kills me.
Yeah.
Because I literally start thinking where my anxiety kicks in and I go, "Oh, well, I can't just do it in pen. If I do it in pen, what if somebody sees it? It's ugly." It's just like, it's my personal planner. Who cares?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a good thought process. But anyways, so hopefully this episode, guys, gave you a very good insight into some of the ADHD side of things and really maybe even inspired you guys to ask some questions and really hope that maybe
Yeah.
you saw some similarities and maybe now that might have possibly given you some clarity and maybe some inspiration. And like we said, we are not professionals by any means,
Absolutely not.
but I mean, please, if you feel like you need to talk to somebody about that, please go see a therapist and or talk to anybody
Yeah.
that you feel comfortable talking to. And really just try to get your bearings around it, and getting answers is a very hopeful thing. I mean, like Kick said, just having that answer can be such a huge relief. And
Yeah.
like I've said, the first session's gonna suck, but it's worth
Absolutely.
it. It is worth it. So really, guys, I hope that this kind of gave you a little bit of laughs as well as, just some answers and some interesting insight to chaotic minds over here. But join us again next week on Friday for another episode. Not really too sure what we're going to talk about yet, but we will have something interesting for you on that one.
Yeah.
So, uh again, any specific topics you guys want us to go over, Discord, Instagram, comments on our YouTube videos, anything, we'd love to hear from you guys as well. So, just let us know if there's anything specific you do want us to talk about, and we will go over that in future episodes. But once again, guys, we hope that you remember you are,
Always loved.
You are not alone.
and
And
this
this
is
is
just
just
us
us
being
being
us.
us.